In the streets of Rome, an elite MI6 agent is assigned a mission she cannot fail: capture the enigmatic heiress of a criminal empire. But when the hunter becomes captivated by her target, secrets unravel, loyalties shatter, and a dangerous game of love and survival begins. From the shadowed alleys of Italy to the open seas of the Mediterranean, two women must outwit the world, outrun the past, and risk everything for a love that could destroy them both. The airplane descended through a sky the color of tarnished gold, Rome sprawling below like a living mosaic. Elena Voss sat by the window, her reflection faint in the glass, the sharp lines of a woman who had learned long ago how to hide her softness. The city glimmered beneath her, ancient and restless. She felt it already, that particular hum of history and danger. She had been in dozens of cities, Berlin, Vienna, Casablanca, but Rome was different. Too beautiful, too full of ghosts. It was a city that invited both worship and ruin, and she had come for both. Elena's cover was simple: Evelyn Vale, an art consultant from London with a passion for Renaissance works and an eye for investment pieces. Her real mission: infiltrate the circle of Sofía d'Aurelia, an Italian-Spanish art dealer rumored to be moving arms money through private sales of stolen antiquities. What MI6 didn't mention in her orders, or perhaps what they didn't understand, was that Sofía's name carried its own kind of mythology in the intelligence community. Elegant. Untouchable. Deadly. Elena had studied her for months before the mission. Every photograph. Every recorded conversation. The way Sofía held a glass of wine as if it contained a secret. The way her smile never quite reached her eyes. Now she was here, in the same city, with orders to make her fall in love. Her hotel overlooked the Piazza Navona, a place where tourists laughed, fountains whispered, and pigeons gathered like gray secrets. From her balcony, she could see the dome of Sant'Agnes in Agone, lit in amber. The air was warm, scented faintly with roasted coffee and rain. Elena unpacked with precision: black dress, silk blouse, compact pistol, a small transmitter disguised as a brooch. Everything in its place. Everything except her heart. She poured a glass of water from the minibar, stared at the reflection of her own eyes. Calm. Controlled. Deceptive. But deep down, she already knew, missions that began in beauty rarely ended clean. That evening, she went to the gallery. Galleria Aurelia, tucked into a narrow street near Trastevere, marble floors, high ceilings, and the hush of money. The exhibition was titled Echoes of Desire. A mix of Renaissance-inspired pieces and modern reinterpretations of myth. Elena entered wearing a fitted black suit, her hair pinned back, her expression unreadable. People glanced at her, drawn by her composure, her beauty, the quiet danger that followed her like perfume. She moved through the crowd slowly, scanning faces, memorizing exits. And then, she saw her. Sofía d'Aurelia. Standing beneath a painting of Aphrodite emerging from the sea. Gold dress, low neckline, dark curls cascading over one shoulder. She looked like sin dressed as art. Her laughter, low and deliberate, slid through the room like a melody. Their eyes met across the gallery. It was supposed to be a moment of strategy, an operative making contact. But it wasn't. It was a pulse. A quiet, electric recognition. Sofía tilted her head slightly, curiosity flickering in her gaze. She approached, unhurried, graceful. The crowd seemed to part for her. Buonasera, Sofía said, her voice soft, accent delicate. You're not one of my usual patrons. Elena smiled, just enough. I don't buy art to decorate walls. I buy stories. Sofía's lips curved. Then you've come to the right place. Rome is full of stories, most of them lies. Elena's reply came almost too easily. The best ones always are. For a moment, silence hung between them, the kind that feels like a held breath. Sofía extended her hand. Sofía d'Aurelia. Elena Vale. Their fingers touched. A spark. Sofía's perfume, jasmine and smoke, lingered as she smiled. Then, Miss Vale, Sofía murmured. Tell me, are you here for the art, or for me? Elena's pulse betrayed her training. Maybe I haven't decided yet. Sofia's laughter was quiet, dangerous, intimate. Then I'll have to give you a reason to choose. That night, Elena walked back through the narrow streets, the sound of Sofia's voice echoing in her mind. The mission had begun. But something else had, too. The line between target and temptation was already blurring, and Rome, eternal, seductive Rome, would witness the unraveling of them both. The next morning, Rome woke in gold. Bells rang from distant churches, sunlight spilled across tiled roofs, and the city breathed with ancient ease. But inside her hotel room, Elena Voss did not feel peace. She sat at the small desk by the window, studying the encrypted message flickering across her tablet screen. From Control. Subject, Aurelia Operation, Update. Maintain cover. Target receptive. Secure access to private gallery. No deviation. No personal entanglements. D. Hunter. Elena read the last line twice. No personal entanglements. As if emotion were something you could plan against, like a security flaw. She deleted the message, then leaned back, letting the morning light touch her face. Somewhere below, a street violinist played something mournful. She closed her eyes and exhaled. That evening, a white envelope arrived at her hotel, hand-delivered, sealed with a thin line of wax. Inside, a single card written in elegant script. Dinner. 9 o'clock. Palazzo d'Aurelia. We're something that tells the truth. No signature. None needed. Elena stared at the words for a long time. Her orders said she should avoid being alone with Sofía until further intel was confirmed. But Rome had a way of making disobedience feel romantic. At 9 sharp, a black Maserati waited outside. The driver, silent and efficient, drove her through the narrow Roman streets until they reached the heart of Trastevere, where the old palaces kept their secrets behind iron gates and climbing ivy. Palazzo d'Aurelia stood at the end of a long courtyard bathed in candlelight. The air smelled of cypress and rain. Sofía met her at the entrance. No gold dress tonight, only a simple black silk gown, her hair loose around her shoulders, her bare feet silent on the marble floor. You came, Sofía said softly, her eyes tracing Elena's face. You invited me, Elena replied. Not everyone accepts. Then they don't know what they're missing. A faint smile touched Sofia's lips. Careful, cara mia. Rome rewards boldness, but it punishes curiosity. Dinner was set in a high-ceilinged hall filled with candles and ancient statues. A table for two, surrounded by shadows. Wine glowed deep red in crystal glasses. The first course was figs, honey, and soft cheese, the second, seafood caught that morning. Every gesture felt like choreography, the slow pour of wine, the brush of fingertips against a glass, the flicker of a glance that lasted a fraction too long. Sofía spoke about art, about truth, about how every masterpiece was built on deception. Do you know what makes a painting powerful? She asked. Elena tilted her head. Talent? No, Sofía smiled faintly. Intention. The artist decides what the world will see, and what it won't. That's control. That's the art of deception. Elena studied her. And what's your intention, Sofía? To see if you'll tell me the truth. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. Candlelight played across Sofía's cheekbones, catching the edge of her smile, dangerous, magnetic, knowing. Elena wanted to lie. She wanted to tell the truth. She didn't know which would destroy her faster. Sofía reached out, brushing a strand of hair from Elena's face. Her touch was light, almost reverent. You have the eyes of someone who's lost herself before. Elena's voice was steady. Maybe I never found myself to begin with. Sofía's hand lingered a moment longer, then withdrew. Then perhaps Rome is the right place to start. After dinner, they walked through the palazzo's private gallery. Moonlight filtered through tall windows, illuminating sculptures and canvases older than memory. Sofía stopped before a painting, Leda and the Swan. Her voice softened. Do you believe love and violence can exist in the same breath? Elena hesitated. Sometimes they're the same thing. Sofía turned to her then, standing close enough that Elena could feel the warmth of her breath. And which are you, Elena Vale, the lover, or the weapon? Elena's heartbeat betrayed her. I'm trying to find out. Sofía smiled, slow and devastating. Then you're not my enemy yet. She leaned in, brushed her lips against Elena's cheek, not quite a kiss, more a promise, and whispered. But one day, amore, you might be. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She stood by the window, watching the Roman skyline shimmer under the moon, Sofía's words echoing in her mind. Her phone vibrated once, a new message. From Control. Subject, Aurelia Intel. Target suspected of selling stolen Vatican manuscripts. New objective, locate evidence in Palazzo archives. Use her trust. Whatever it takes. Elena closed the phone, her reflection in the glass fractured by city lights. Whatever it takes, she whispered. And for the first time in her career, she wasn't sure which side she was on. The rain came before dawn, soft and unhurried, washing the city in silver. Elena watched from her balcony as drops gathered on the wrought iron railing and slid away like secrets refusing to stay. Rome was quieter in the rain, even its chaos became reverent. She hadn't slept. Sofía's words haunted her, and beneath them, her orders pulsed like a wound. Use her trust. Whatever it takes. In the sterile world of intelligence work, emotion was a liability. But Rome, Sofía, the quiet gravity between them, none of it followed the rules. Elena poured coffee, black and bitter, then opened her laptop. The secure line flickered to life. Agent Voss, came the voice of her handler, David Hunter, crisp, English, always impatient. Status. Elena kept her tone even. I've made contact. She trusts me enough to invite me to her home. I'm working toward access to her archives. Good. There's chatter suggesting she's moving sensitive materials through that palazzo. Documents stolen from the Vatican Library, original codices, untraceable. We need proof. And if she's not? Hunter's voice sharpened. Then she's an innocent woman who chose to dine with the wrong company. You know the job. Elena's hand tightened on her coffee cup. Understood. Voss, he added. You're playing a dangerous game. Don't get attached. The line clicked dead before she could answer. Later that day, she returned to the Palazzo d'Aurelia under the pretext of private consulting. Sofía greeted her in the atrium, a shawl draped over her shoulders, the faintest trace of surprise, or amusement, in her eyes. You move quickly, Signorina Vale. Should I be flattered or concerned? Both, Elena said, smiling faintly. Sofía led her down a marble corridor lined with statues and frescoes. The air was cool, smelling faintly of jasmine and age. This part of the palazzo is rarely open. My family's private collection. Be careful, some of the paintings bite. Elena's lips curved. So do some collectors. Sofía stopped before an unmarked door and turned a brass key. The lock clicked softly, and the door opened to a dimly lit gallery, walls lined with canvases shrouded in linen, sculptures half buried in shadow. This, Sofía said, stepping inside, is where I keep the things that matter. Elena followed her, pulse quickening. A hidden room meant leverage, or vulnerability. What are you hiding from the world, Sofía? Not hiding, Sofía replied, her voice low. Preserving. She pulled a sheet from one painting, revealing a portrait of a woman, dark eyes, pale skin, a quiet strength in her expression. My mother, Sofía said softly. She painted this when she was dying. Said every stroke was a prayer she didn't believe in. Elena studied the painting. There was pain there, and love, the kind that survived betrayal. She was talented. Sofia's eyes met hers. Talent isn't enough to save you from the truth. For a moment, Elena forgot her mission. She wanted to ask what truth Sofia meant, but Sofia's gaze lingered too long, and the silence between them became dangerous again. When Sofia was called away to take a phone call, Elena's professionalism returned like armor. She glanced toward a side door, slightly ajar. Beyond it, a narrow staircase led downward, half hidden behind a tapestry. Her instinct spoke louder than her conscience. She slipped through the doorway and descended into the dark. The air grew cooler, heavy with dust. At the bottom was another small gallery, this one filled with crates and covered frames. A single desk stood against the wall, a lamp burning dimly beside a stack of documents. Elena moved quickly, scanning the papers. Most were invoices for art shipments, but beneath them, a folder stamped with a Vatican seal caught her eye. She opened it, and froze. Inside were photographs. Illuminated manuscripts, centuries old. Pages filled with Latin text and sketches, and a list of buyers, names blacked out except for one initial, SD. Sofia d'Aurelia. A creak echoed above her. Footsteps. Elena shut the folder, heart racing. She turned off the lamp, moved behind a statue, listening. The door opened. Sofia descended the stairs, her silhouette framed by light. She didn't speak. She didn't look surprised. Only calm, too calm. I was hoping you'd find this place, Sofia said softly. Elena straightened slowly. Then why hide it? Because truth is fragile, Sofia replied, stepping closer. Like trust. Like love. Their eyes locked. The distance between them dissolved. Tell me, Elena Vale, Sofia murmured, her accent wrapping around the name like silk, who sent you to me? Elena's throat tightened. For a heartbeat, she considered the lie. Then the truth pressed too close, too heavy. I don't know anymore, she said quietly. Sofia's gaze softened, then hardened again. Be careful what you don't know. In Rome, ignorance can kill you. And then, without another word, she turned and walked back up the stairs, her shadow long and elegant on the stone. Elena stood in the silence she left behind, the stolen manuscripts cold in her hands. She had proof now, enough to end the mission. But every instinct in her body told her that something deeper was hidden here, something no file could explain. Something about Sofia d'Aurelia that was more than criminal. More than dangerous. Something that felt, impossibly, like fate. Rome was dressed for spectacle. Lanterns floated above the Tiber like captive stars, and laughter spilled from courtyards scented with wine and wisteria. But inside the walls of the Palazzo d'Aurelia, everything glittered with a more dangerous light. The invitation had come in black vellum, sealed with gold wax. A night of masks and truth. Midnight. S. Elena had read it again and again, her thumb tracing the seal until it cracked. Earlier that day, MI6 had made contact at dawn. Hunter's voice over the encrypted line was clipped and cold. We have what we need, Voss. The manuscripts, the coded ledgers, they tie d'Aurelia to the network. The director wants extraction within 48 hours. Upload the data and prepare to disappear. Elena stared at the rain-washed rooftops through her window. And her? A pause. She's collateral. Local authorities will handle it. Her jaw tightened. She won't survive that. She's a criminal, Elena. Don't romanticize your mark. You've done this before. But she hadn't. Not like this. Not with someone whose touch lingered like a question. When the call ended, the silence pressed against her chest. She looked at her reflection, tired, haunted, caught between two loyalties that suddenly felt the same. Love and duty. Lies and truth. And Rome, eternal, watching her from every corner. That night, the masquerade. The palazzo shimmered with opulence. Chandeliers dripped crystal tears, violins ached through the air, and every guest wore a mask of mystery, feathered, jeweled, dangerous. Elena entered through the side gate in a black gown, mask shaped like a raven's wing. Her every movement rehearsed, every heartbeat measured. Hidden beneath the silk lining of her clutch was a microdrive, the evidence MI6 wanted. But the moment she saw Sofía, the plan dissolved into ache. Sofía stood at the top of the marble staircase, dressed in white and gold, her mask delicate as lace. Light caught in her hair like fire. Every head turned when she descended, but her eyes found only Elena's. "Buonasera, mia cara," she whispered when they met in the crowd. Elena's throat tightened. "You look like temptation itself." Sofía's smile curved. "And you came dressed as danger. How fitting." They danced. Slowly, deliberately. Hands gliding, breath mingling, the air around them too warm. The music swelled, strings trembling like a secret on the verge of being spoken. "You shouldn't be here," Sofía murmured against her ear. "Then why invite me?" Sofía's hand rested over Elena's heart. "To see if it still beats for the right reasons." When the music ended, Sofía led her away, through corridors heavy with shadow, down to a secluded garden where fountains whispered and jasmine climbed the stone. Moonlight gilded her skin as she removed her mask. "You're not Evelyn Vale," she said quietly. "I knew from the first moment." Elena didn't deny it. "And you still let me in." Sofía's eyes softened, almost sad. "Because sometimes, even liars tell the truth when they're lonely." Elena took a step closer. "Then tell me your truth, Sofía." Silence. Then, softly. "My family built its empire on theft and blood. When my father died, the debts didn't vanish, only the enemies changed. The manuscripts, they're not mine to sell. They're my leverage to survive. So you used art to buy freedom." Sofía's gaze flickered with pain. "And you? You used love to buy information." Elena's breath caught. "It wasn't supposed to be like that." "No," Sofía said, voice trembling now. "It never is." The tension between them snapped like glass. Elena reached out, her hand trembling against Sofía's cheek. "They're coming for you. Leave Rome. Tonight. I can help." Sofía's eyes searched hers, disbelief, hope, longing. "Why would you risk everything?" "Because I already have." The space between them disappeared. Their lips met, slow, desperate, the kind of kiss that comes when the world is ending. For a moment, there was no mission, no deception, only the taste of rain and truth. But above them, a light flickered in the palazzo, the signal. MI6's extraction team was in position. Elena pulled away, breath shaking. "They're here." Sofía's eyes hardened. "So this is how it ends?" "No," Elena whispered. "Not if I can change it." She pressed the microdrive into Sofía's hand. "Run. North Gate. There's a car waiting. Don't look back." "And you?" Elena smiled, faint and breaking. "Someone has to mislead the hunters." As Sofía vanished into the night, the sound of approaching boots echoed through the garden. Elena slipped her mask back on, stepping into the shadows with her gun drawn and her heart undone. Rome's bells began to toll midnight. The moment love and betrayal finally became the same sound. Dawn bruised the horizon, violet fading to gold. By the time the bells of St. Agnes began to ring, Sofía was already outside the city, the black Maserati cutting through the mist along the Via Appia. Olive trees blurred past like ghosts. She drove barefoot, one hand on the wheel, the other clutching the microdrive Elena had pressed into her palm. She didn't know where she was going, only that every direction without Elena felt wrong. Inside Rome. Elena ran. Through corridors lit by gunmetal moonlight, through the smell of cordite and spilled champagne. MI6's tactical team swarmed the palazzo, their radios hissing with clipped commands. She reached the atrium first, heart hammering. Hunter's voice cracked through her earpiece. "Was, stand down. The targets escaped. Extraction compromised. She ripped the earpiece out, breathing hard. Not the target, she whispered. The woman. Hours later she sat in a safe house on the edge of the city, blood on her sleeve, gun on the table, the window cracked open to the smell of rain and exhaust. Her hands shook as she decrypted the feed from the surveillance drones. A car heading south. No driver identified. Sofía. Elena closed the laptop, made her decision in silence. She would go rogue. MI6 could call it betrayal, she'd call it truth. On the road. Sofía stopped near the ruins of an old aqueduct. The sun had risen, a pale coin burning through the mist. She stepped out, the gravel cold beneath her feet. The silence felt ancient, heavier than guilt. When she heard the other engine approach, she didn't flinch. Elena's motorbike slowed to a stop beside her. Black helmet. Black leather. Exhaust hissing like a sigh. Neither spoke for a long moment. Elena removed her helmet. Her eyes looked different now, tired, stripped bare. You ran. You told me to. I didn't think you'd listen. Sofía smiled, small and real. I never do. They stood between the broken arches of the aqueduct, the air thick with everything unspoken. I'm not MI6 anymore, Elena said quietly. I burned the line. They'll come for both of us. Then what now? Elena took a step closer. We disappear. There's a safe route through the coast, contacts in Marseille. We can start over. Sofía searched her face. And when the next lie catches up with us? Then we keep running. Together. Sofía's laughter was soft, almost tender. You're terrible at this, Agent. I'm learning. Their foreheads touched, breath mingling. It was less a kiss than a confession. But the sound of helicopters shattered the quiet. Dust rose around them, rotors slicing the sky. Sofía grabbed Elena's hand. They found us. Elena pulled her close behind one of the stone arches, drawing her pistol. There's a service tunnel under the ruins. Old catacombs. Go. What about you? I'll cover you. No, Sofía's grip tightened. You said together. The look they shared was brief and infinite. Then they moved, two silhouettes in the storm of dust and sirens, vanishing into the dark mouth of the tunnel as gunfire erupted behind them. Inside the catacombs. The air was damp, filled with echoes of dripping water and distant voices. They ran by flashlight, shadows leaping over carved walls. Sofía's breath came hard. They'll seal the exits. Then we find another. They turned a corner and stopped. Ahead, the tunnel opened into a small crypt, the walls lined with ancient frescoes. A marble angel stood over a stone tomb, its face worn smooth by centuries. Elena leaned against the wall, chest heaving. If we don't make it out. Don't, Sofía said sharply. Not yet. But Elena's eyes were steady now, the calm of a woman who had finally chosen. If we don't, at least we stopped pretending. Sofía stepped close, placed her hand over Elena's heart. It's still beating for the wrong reasons. Elena smiled. Maybe the right ones just hurt more. And I'll cover you. No, Sofía's grip tightened. You said together. The look they shared was brief and infinite. Then they moved, two silhouettes in the storm of dust and sirens, vanishing into the dark mouth of the tunnel as gunfire erupted behind them. Inside the catacombs. The air was damp, filled with echoes of dripping water and distant voices. They ran by flashlight, shadows leaping over carved walls. Sofía's breath came hard. They'll seal the exits. Then we find another. They turned a corner and stopped. Ahead, the tunnel opened into a small crypt, the walls lined with ancient frescoes. A marble angel stood over a stone tomb, its face worn smooth by centuries. Elena leaned against the wall, chest heaving. If we don't make it out. Don't, Sofía said sharply. Not yet. But Elena's eyes were steady now, the calm of a woman who had finally chosen. If we don't, at least we stopped pretending. Sofía stepped close, placed her hand over Elena's heart. It's still beating for the wrong reasons. Elena smiled. Maybe the right ones just hurt more. And then, with the noise of pursuit echoing down the tunnel, they kissed again, fierce, defiant, alive. Above them, Rome continued to wake, sunlight breaking over domes and ruins, the eternal city unaware that, beneath its streets, two women were rewriting the rules of loyalty and love. The tunnel spat them out into the open hills just before dawn. Mist rose from the earth like smoke from an invisible fire, and the ruins of Rome lay far behind, a memory carved in marble and blood. They had run all night, through mud, through silence, through the weight of their own choices. Now, standing on a ridge above the sea, Sofía d'Aurelia and Elena Voss were no longer agent and target. They were fugitives, bound by the only truth that hadn't broken between them, each other. The coast road. They found an abandoned fisherman's shack hidden among olive trees, its windows cracked and walls lined with salt-stained photographs. Inside, Elena cleaned the cut on Sofía's arm, her movements quiet and careful. Hold still, she murmured. Sofía winced, then smiled faintly. You patch me up as if you didn't just destroy your career for me. I didn't do it for you. Elena met her eyes. I did it because I couldn't keep lying. For a moment, neither spoke. Outside, the waves hissed against the rocks. Then Sofía said softly, "What happens now?" Elena's jaw tightened. MI6 will hunt me. Your old buyers will want what you took from them. We'll be safe nowhere. Sofía laughed bitterly. You make freedom sound so romantic. Elena looked at her, really looked, and something broke in her expression. Maybe it's the only kind of romance that lasts. Later, the safe route. By noon, they reached the coast near Civitavecchia. Cargo ships waited on the horizon, and the air smelled of diesel and salt. Elena's contact, an ex-field operative named Calder, met them by the docks, grizzled, silent, unshaven. He looked at Elena, then at Sofía. So it's true, he said. You've gone native. Do you have the boat? Elena asked. Calder nodded toward a rusted fishing trawler. Southbound. No questions asked. But they'll have a trace on your passports by now. Once you're out, you stay out. That's the plan. He handed her a burner phone. After this, you're ghosts. Don't call. Don't look back. Elena took it, her hand trembling only slightly. Thank you. He smirked. Don't thank me. You'll hate me when you realize what you've lost. The choice. They waited at the edge of the dock as the boat's engine coughed to life. Gulls wheeled above, crying into the wind. Sofía turned to her. You could still go back, you know. Say I forced you. They'd believe it. Elena shook her head. There's no going back. Sofía's eyes softened. You're not made for exile, amore. You belong in the world. I belong where you are. For the first time, Sofía looked afraid. Not of capture. Not of death. But of being believed. Elena, if you choose this, you lose everything. Elena smiled, quiet, resolute. Everything but you. The sound of engines tore through the air. A black SUV appeared on the ridge above the docks, then another. Me 6. Calder swore. They found you. Go, now. Elena grabbed Sofía's hand and pulled her toward the boat. Gunfire cracked across the water. Sofía stumbled, caught herself, her breath sharp. They dove aboard just as the trawler lurched forward, bullets sparking against the metal hull. The wind whipped Sofía's hair into Elena's face as she shouted to the captain, full throttle. The boat surged into open water, leaving the port, and the life they'd known, behind. Open sea. Hours passed. The coast became a smudge of gold and gray. The world narrowed to sea, sky, and the rhythm of their breaths. Elena sat beside Sofía on the deck, both women silent. Their hands found each other without words. "You could still turn me in," Sofía said quietly. Elena looked at her, the horizon reflected in her eyes. "And lose the only truth I've ever had?" Sofía leaned her head against Elena's shoulder. "You'll regret this one day." "Maybe. But not tonight." Night fell. The stars came out, infinite, cold, and kind. Somewhere between the waves and the wind, Elena whispered, "Tell me something true." Sofía's voice trembled against her ear. "I loved you long before I trusted you." Elena smiled, eyes closing. "Then maybe there's hope for us after all." The boat carried them into the dark, fugitives, lovers, survivors. Behind them, Rome slept under the weight of its secrets. Ahead, only water, sky, and the fragile price of freedom. The sea had become their lullaby. Weeks turned to months in a blur of salt, sunlight, and cautious peace. The trawler had carried them south to a small fishing village on the Amalfi coast, a scatter of white houses clinging to the cliffs, where time moved as slowly as the tide. They bought a crumbling villa half hidden by bougainvillea, overlooking the water. Elena repaired its windows, fixed its locks, and built walls the world could not see through. Sofía filled the rooms with paintings, pale blues, muted golds, and the kind of silence that only exists after too much noise. The morning ritual. Every morning, Elena rose before sunrise. She'd make coffee strong enough to wake the dead and stand barefoot on the terrace, watching the horizon bleed into light. Sofía would appear minutes later, wearing one of Elena's shirts, her hair uncombed, her expression a mixture of sleep and amusement. Still watching the sea for ghosts, she teased one morning. "Not ghosts," Elena said softly. "Patterns." Sofía smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You can leave the spy work behind, you know. No one's chasing us." Elena didn't answer. She never did. She still read coded news feeds on her phone, scanning for words that meant danger. The habit of vigilance was hard to kill. A fragile piece. By afternoon, Sofía painted by the open window, her canvas catching the shimmer of the waves. Elena sat nearby, restoring an old radio she'd found in the market. Music filled the house, slow, Italian jazz, something tender and haunting. Sofía would pause, watching her. There was something about Elena in stillness, a tension beneath calm, a soldier learning to breathe. "You never really stop being who you were," Sofía said once, laying down her brush. Elena looked up. "Would you want me to?" Sofía crossed the room and cupped her cheek. "No. I just want to know which parts of you still belong to me." Elena kissed her palm, whispering, "All the ones worth saving." Nightfall. That night, rain swept in from the west. Thunder rolled across the coast, shaking shutters and hearts alike. They sat by the window, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the storm. Sofía traced a scar on Elena's arm, a faint white line. "This one?" "Cairo," Elena murmured. "A rooftop. A knife I didn't see coming." Sofía smiled faintly. "You sound almost nostalgic." Sometimes the danger made things simpler. Sofía leaned close. "And now?" "Now everything matters," Elena said. The visitor. 3 months into their quiet life, the first crack appeared. A fisherman named Luca, who brought them bread and wine twice a week, arrived with a folded newspaper. "Thought you might want to see this," he said. On the front page, a photo. A grainy image from a security camera. A woman walking through Fiumicino Airport, head down, wearing sunglasses. The headline read, "Missing art dealer connected to Interpol investigation." Sofía went pale. Elena took the paper and read in silence. Then she folded it, set it aside, and said quietly, "Pack a bag. Just in case." Sofía's voice trembled. You think they found us? I think they've started looking again. That night. They didn't sleep. They lay together in silence, the storm outside now only rain. Elena's hand found Sophia's beneath the sheets. If they come, Sophia whispered, what will you do? Whatever it takes. Sophia turned toward her, eyes glistening. You'd kill again? For you, Elena said. Without hesitation. Sophia kissed her, slow and desperate. When they broke apart, she whispered, then promise me something. Anything. When this ends, however it ends, let me choose how I'm remembered. Elena nodded, though she didn't understand. Not yet. The mornings were different after that. The sea still shimmered, the air still smelled of lemons and salt, but something had shifted, an invisible tremor beneath their quiet life. Elena noticed it first in the little things, a fisherman she didn't recognize waving too long from his boat, a car parked twice near the cliffs, the faint buzz of a line tapped into their phone. She said nothing to Sophia. Not yet. The stranger in Amalfi. It was nearly dusk when Elena saw him. A man in a dark coat, sitting at the cafe on the edge of the harbor, pretending to read the paper but watching the street instead. He didn't fit here, too still, too quiet, too careful. Elena's pulse tightened. She paid for her groceries, slipped through the alleys, and made her way home along the coastal path. The sound of the waves covered her footsteps, but the old instinct, that hunter's rhythm, had returned. Sophia was painting when she arrived. You're late, she said softly, without turning. There's someone in town, Elena replied. The brush froze midair. Me 6. Maybe. Or Interpol. Whoever it is, they're not here for the view. Sophia turned, her expression unreadable. Then we leave. Elena hesitated. Running again won't make us free. Then what will? Sophia whispered. Elena didn't answer. She didn't know. Night watch. That night, Elena sat on the terrace with the lights off, a pistol on the table beside her coffee. The moonlight turned the sea to silver. Every sound, a gull, a shifting branch, the whisper of waves, made her heart lurch. Inside, Sophia moved quietly, packing small things into a canvas bag, passports, a roll of euros, the key to the boat they'd hidden below the cliffs. She paused at one point, her fingers resting on a photograph of them, taken by a stranger at the market, sunlight caught in their smiles. She slipped it into her coat pocket. The knock. Just before dawn, a knock came. 3 short taps, deliberate. Elena's hand went to her weapon. She motioned for Sophia to stay back. Who is it? A pause. Then a man's voice, low, familiar. Calder. Elena's stomach turned cold. She opened the door a fraction. He stood there, older, tired, rain clinging to his hair. They sent me, he said. Not to bring you in. To warn you. The warning. Inside, he refused wine, sitting at the edge of the table like a man carrying ghosts. They know you're alive, Elena. They traced the safehouse routes. You've got days, maybe less. Sophia's hands clenched. And me? Calder's eyes flicked to her, pity, or perhaps regret. You're the reason they're coming. Elena's voice was steel. I burned every file. You did, he said. But someone rebuilt it. Someone in Rome. They think Sophia still has the encryption key to the arms accounts, the one hidden in that painting. Sophia looked away. I destroyed it. Calder shook his head. They don't believe that. A past unburied. After he left, silence filled the villa like smoke. Sophia stood by the window, staring at the sea. You knew this could happen, she said quietly. I thought we had more time. There's never more time. Elena turned to her. Tell me the truth. Do you still have it? Sophia's voice was a whisper. I told you I destroyed it. Tell me again. Sofía faced her, eyes shining with something fragile and fierce. I destroyed it. A pause. Then softer, but I remember it. Elena froze. You memorized the code? Sofía nodded. Every number. Every symbol. The world seemed to tilt. Then you'll never be safe, Elena said. I know. Sofía's smile was sad, beautiful. That's why I need you to be the choice. By midnight, their plan was set. Elena would take Sofía to the cliffs at dawn, to the hidden boat. They'd sail south again, this time without a destination, without a name. But when Elena woke, the bed beside her was empty. Sofía was gone. On the pillow, a note, handwritten in looping Italian. You gave me freedom. Let me give you safety. If I run alone, they'll stop hunting you. Remember me when the sea is quiet. S. The cliffs above the Amalfi coast glimmered under the early sun, but Elena felt nothing but cold. Sofía's note crumpled in her hand, the words repeating themselves like a mantra. If I run alone, they'll stop hunting you. Elena had never been without a target. Never without a plan. Never without control. But now, the woman she loved, the reason she had burned every bridge, was gone, and Rome's shadows had begun to reach again. Tracking shadows. Elena left the villa before dawn, careful to leave nothing that could betray her presence. She drove the winding coastal roads with only one goal: find Sofía before anyone else did. Every town along the way, Salerno, Naples, Benevento, became a puzzle of faces, movements, and whispers. Her MI6 training returned like a familiar scar: surveillance, pattern recognition, reading intentions behind eyes. But this hunt was different. The stakes were personal. She wasn't chasing a mission. She was chasing her heart. The first clue. By midday, in Naples, she found her first hint. A cafe near the port, small, discreet, with a terrace overlooking the harbor. A waitress, mid-20s, with sun-bleached hair, approached. Elena asked casually, slipping a photograph of Sofía into her hand. The girl's eyes flicked up. Yes. I saw her. 2 days ago. Boarding a ferry for Sicily. Elena's chest tightened. Sicily meant open sea, escape routes, and time lost. She didn't wait. She rented a small speedboat, motor humming against the morning tide, and steered south toward Messina. Danger approaches. On the water, Elena felt the weight of pursuit. She checked the horizon constantly: small vessels, helicopters, the glint of radar dishes. Somewhere behind her, she knew the agents of MI6 and Interpol were already hunting. Somewhere ahead, darker forces from Sofía's past, the criminal buyers of stolen manuscripts, remnants of the network she had escaped, were waiting. She adjusted her course, heart hammering. Sofía had taken a risk to protect her, and now it was Elena's turn to honor it. Messina. Night fell as she arrived in Messina. The town was sleepy, narrow streets slick with rain. Elena parked the boat in a shadowed cove and moved on foot, blending into the quiet chaos of the port. A fisherman approached, offering directions. Elena noticed him too late, the way his eyes lingered, the slight bulge under his jacket. Who are you looking for? He asked casually. Elena Voss, she said, voice calm. Wrong question. I'm looking for someone else. His smile sharpened. Be careful. Some shadows are heavier than the night. And then he was gone, a warning more than a threat. The reunion. By dawn, she found her. Sofía was on the edge of the northern coast of Sicily, standing near a lighthouse, looking out at the sea. She had a small pack and the same look of quiet determination Elena remembered from the first time she met her. Sofía. Elena called. Sofía turned slowly. For a heartbeat, Elena saw hesitation, relief, fear, longing, all layered into one glance. You came, Sofía whispered. I told you I would, Elena replied, moving closer. No one else will have you. Sophia's eyes filled with unshed tears. You don't know what's coming. I don't care, Elena said. We face it together. The threat revealed. The sound of engines broke the morning calm. A convoy of black SUVs appeared on the coastal road behind them. Agents, Sophia said, her voice flat. And, worse. Elena's hand brushed hers, gripping tightly. Then we run. No hesitation. No mistakes. The two women sprinted toward a waiting fishing boat at the dock. Bullets began to ricochet off the rocks. Shadows moved faster than dawn. As the boat cut through the Mediterranean waters, Elena glanced at Sofia. The wind caught her hair, her eyes glittering with defiance. Ready? Elena asked. Sofia smiled, fierce, unbroken, alive. Always. The chase had begun. But this time, it wasn't just MI6 or the criminal network. It was the reckoning of all the choices they had made, and the fragile, furious love that had refused to be buried. The sea was black beneath the moon, waves striking the hull of the small fishing boat like fists. Elena gripped the tiller, muscles taut, eyes scanning the horizon. Beside her, Sofia clutched the microdrive, knuckles white, her hair plastered to her face by salt and wind. The convoy had split, two SUVs had continued along the coast, while a larger motorboat, armed and aggressive, cut across the waves behind them. Elena didn't speak. Words now were liabilities. Every glance, every movement had to be precise. The first attack. The motorboat fired. Bullets spat across the water, splashing near the bow. Elena! Sofia shouted, ducking. Hold on. Elena yelled back, twisting the wheel, skimming close to a jagged rock formation. Sparks flew as the boat scraped against stone, but she held steady. Why won't they just leave us? Sofia yelled, adrenaline sharpening her voice. They never leave what's worth taking, Elena said. Her gun came up, firing at the motorboat. Sparks from hits on metal echoed over the waves. Sofia pressed herself against the hull, teeth clenched. I'm not losing you. Not like this. Elena's heart caught. She wasn't losing her either, not if she could make it last one more night. The collision. A shadow rose behind them. One of the SUVs had veered onto a makeshift pier. Men jumped into the water, swimming toward the boat with weapons drawn. Elena's pulse was a drum. She accelerated, weaving through the waves. The fishing boat groaned under the assault, and a wave slammed over the side, soaking them both. Sofia screamed as one attacker grabbed for the microdrive. Elena swung the butt of her gun, striking him hard. He went under, and another took his place. Sofia shouted, Elena! I've got you! Elena yelled, firing twice more. The attackers faltered, regrouping in the water like predators circling a wounded deer. The moment between. For a heartbeat, nothing moved but the sea, the wind, and the beating of their hearts. Elena glanced at Sofia. Rain and salt streaked her face, eyes wide, mouth trembling. You're insane, Sofia said, a laugh breaking through panic. I'm alive, Elena said, her voice tight, because of you. Sofia's hand found hers. Fingers entwined, gripping like survival itself. We survived together, Sofia whispered. Yes, Elena said. Always together. The final strike. The motorboat surged again, closer this time. Elena spun the wheel sharply, slamming a jet of water against the attackers, capsizing their small craft into the waves. But a rope lashed across the stern. One of the men had grabbed the boat. Elena felt the tug, and the vessel rocked violently. Sofia's voice was sharp, jump. Together, they dove into the water, cold, dark, chaotic. The current dragged them apart for a moment, then Elena found her, wrapped in each other's arms, struggling toward the surface. Above them, the boat floated away, overturned. The attackers shouted, splashing, but the sea became their ally. Elena kicked, pulling Sofía closer, the moonlight on her face like a promise. The aftermath. Hours later, they washed ashore on a rocky beach, exhausted, soaked, and bleeding, but alive. Sofía collapsed against Elena, trembling. We made it. Elena held her tight, feeling the pulse of her heart against her own. We did. Together. They didn't speak again for a long time. The waves whispered, the moon traced silver across their skin, and the violence of the night faded into quiet. Finally, Sofía lifted her head. We can't stay here. They'll come again. Elena nodded. I know. But wherever we go together. Sofía smiled faintly, exhausted, but alive. Then let's disappear. Really disappear this time. Elena kissed her forehead, holding her as the tide pulled at their feet. Somewhere behind them, Rome's shadows waited. Ahead, only the sea, and each other. The first sunrise they saw together after Messina burned gold across the horizon. The Mediterranean was calm, almost gentle, and for the first time in months, Elena allowed herself to breathe. They had sailed through nights of storm and bullets, through currents of fear and desire. Now, in the pale morning light, everything else, MI6, the criminal network, Rome's shadows, seemed distant, almost unreal. A hidden cove. They found it on a small, unmarked island south of Sicily, a cove concealed by cliffs, accessible only by water. A fisherman's hut, abandoned decades ago, had become their shelter. The roof leaked in places, and the walls smelled of salt and pine, but it was theirs. Sofía immediately began arranging their space. She swept, cleared, and made it livable, her hands moving like she was building a new life with every gesture. Elena watched her, a quiet awe stirring in her chest. This was the woman she had fought to save. This was the life they had clawed from the jaws of danger. The first night. That evening, the sea was a mirror of stars. Sofía sat on the small terrace, sketchbook on her lap. Elena leaned against the doorframe, watching her. You know, Elena said quietly, I never thought I'd find peace like this. Sofía didn't look up. Peace is overrated. But, this is close enough. Elena smiled faintly, stepping closer. Close enough isn't enough for me. Sofía finally met her eyes. And what do you want, Elena? I want us, she said simply. Every day, every fight, every sunrise and storm. I want us to exist, even if the world doesn't allow it. Sofía's fingers brushed hers. Then we'll make it exist. One day at a time. Learning to breathe. Weeks passed. They fished from the small boat, bathed in the sun, and learned the rhythm of quiet living. Elena restored parts of the hut, Sofía painted, and at night they lay together listening to the gentle lap of the waves. Danger was never far, but the constant threat faded into a low hum, a reminder, not a cage. One evening, as they watched the sun set in a wash of pink and gold, Sofía whispered, Do you ever miss it? The chase? Elena laughed softly. Sometimes. But I miss you more than the adrenaline. Sofía leaned against her shoulder. Then we're even. Because I would rather fight for you than fight anyone else. The promise. They made a pact that night. No code names, no lies, no hidden agendas. Only the truth of their love, fragile, defiant, alive. They buried the past beneath the sand, waves erasing footprints with every tide. The manuscripts, the hunters, the agents, all existed in stories now, memories they carried but did not live by. Sofía rested her head against Elena's chest. Do you think we'll ever stop running? Elena kissed her hair. Not entirely. But here, together, we don't have to run alone. For the first time, they slept without fear. The sea had calmed, almost deceptively so. Elena stood at the cliff's edge, feeling the wind whip against her face, tasting salt and freedom. Months of hiding, running, and fighting had brought them here, to a place where danger still whispered, but hope roared louder. Sofía appeared beside her, bare feet on the rocky ledge, holding a small bundle of letters and sketches they had saved along the way. Her eyes shone with something Elena had never seen, certainty. "We can't forget completely," Sofía said softly. "But we can choose what to carry forward." Elena nodded, taking her hand. "Everything that brought us here. I wouldn't trade it. Not for anything." The final threat. The peace of the island was shattered one evening by the distant roar of engines. Elena's instincts flared instantly. "They found us," she whispered. Sofía's hand tightened around hers. "Then we face them. Together." From the shadows of the cliffs, a small team of agents emerged, neither MI6 nor the criminal network, but a private security force, likely remnants of both, sent to retrieve the microdrive and erase loose ends. Elena and Sofía moved with synchrony, weapons drawn, hearts racing. But this time, fear was tempered by certainty. No matter what happened, they had each other. The skirmish was short and precise. Elena's tactical skill, combined with Sofía's cunning, allowed them to outmaneuver the attackers. They didn't kill, this time survival was enough. When the dust settled, the intruders retreated, leaving the island quiet once more. Freedom won. After the confrontation, Elena and Sofía sat on the cliff, watching the sun sink into the sea. "We could run again," Elena said quietly. Sofía shook her head. "We've earned more than survival. We have a home, even if it's small, even if it's hidden." Elena kissed her hand. "We've earned each other." For the first time, there were no shadows, no code names, no chase. Only the rhythm of the waves and the steady beat of two hearts in sync. A new beginning. They restored the fisherman's hut completely, painting walls, planting a small garden, and finally allowing themselves to dream. Sofía opened a small art studio. Elena occasionally took freelance investigative work, enough to keep skills sharp, but never enough to risk exposure. They built a life that was their own. Letters, sketches, paintings, fragments of their past, preserved but no longer threatening. One evening, Elena looked at Sofía as she painted by the open window, the golden light spilling across her hair. "Promise me something," Elena said. Sofía looked up, curious. "Promise me we'll never let the world take this from us again. Not Rome, not MI6, not anyone." Sofía smiled, eyes soft. "I promise." "And you?" "I promise," Elena said. "Always." Years later, they were still on the island, living quietly, fiercely, in love. Visitors were rare, letters encrypted, and the sea, ever patient, held their secrets. They often stood at the cliffs, watching the horizon stretch endlessly. The world could chase them no longer. The past might whisper, but their hearts had learned to listen only to each other. And in the quiet of the Mediterranean, Elena and Sofía finally found the truth they had been running toward all along. Freedom was not just survival, and love was not just desire. It was home. They have escaped Rome, outsmarted enemies, and sailed into the Mediterranean in search of freedom. Yet danger still whispers, the past lingers like a shadow, and love, fragile, fierce, and defiant, must endure. Elena and Sofía have chosen each other against all odds, but in a world that never forgets, can two women truly outrun the lives they left behind?